Welcome to the Dirttime channel. I'm Alan Halcon.
I'm Dude McLean.
And I'm Christopher Nerigash.
Today, before we get started, we're going to take care of a little bit of housekeeping, dude.
Alrighty. This is one of the Beck Hawks that is on our forum. Mike Gap has been one of our sponsors since the beginning of Dirttime.
Who's Mike Gap?
Vector.
Oh, that's Vec. I always call him Vec.
Yeah, it's Vector. And he always donates a few of these Beck Hawks for our Dirttime event. And anyway, this is just an example of one of the many different models that he has, and we just wanted to say thanks to Beck.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Vec. Appreciate that. Christopher, earlier we were talking about, and there was quite a bit of discussion on survival and where it is today and the popularity and all that, and it was worth getting it on. I was going to say tape, but we're not shooting on tape. We're shooting on disc. So I just want to touch.
Why is he bringing that up?
I don't know.
Because we're not shooting on tape.
Okay, so that's
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Anyway, so Christopher, you had some pretty valid points there. You want to?
Well, okay, my point was that we have all of this interest today, and it's rather intense in different aspects of survival. It's on TV, it's on YouTube. A lot of it's good. I've learned a lot of things on YouTube, as you have. A lot of it is misleading. A lot of it is trash. And just as Dude and I and you have seen movements rise and fall in survival going back to the 70s and before, there's always some residue that comes that's left in society in general. And for me, the survival really means the survival of the species. It means improving life. It means doing something differently to enhance your survivability. And some of the things today, they're wilderness survival oriented. I mean, I'm often wondering where some of this will go that we're seeing so much of today. There's the wilderness things that are sometimes pure entertainment. I like to watch it, but I'm not sure the actual practical value of a lot of the strictly wilderness stuff. One guy in the woods and he's trying to do something inappropriately for entertainment value. So a lot of that I really find distasteful. Frankly, I think some of these shows give survival a bad name. It makes it misleading. It allows you to focus on the wrong thing. See, survival, like that Survive show, what was that? Was it called Survive? It was Regis Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Without, in costume. What was that show called?
I don't know. I don't watch any
Survive?
of those shows.
I don't know.
Well, all they did was stab each other in the back.
Yeah.
So that was the
Survivor.
Survivor. That's the antithesis of survival, because they really are set up in a game. They're not trying to work together to achieve a common goal. That's what survival is. So a lot of these stab in the back things are, that's not what we want to promote. For example, all of us have had various life experiences where we wanted to learn these things. Fear may have motivated us initially, right? I know that we've all talked about that, but eventually it becomes something that's exciting and you want to learn about it. I know you did that with fire. I know you did that with your, gardening and self-reliance, and you had to use it after the Silmar earthquake. So I think what we're looking for is always to enhance the positive, practical side of survival. Not the deep end, crazy nutcase end of survival.
I can honestly say I did not get into it out of fear. I got into it out of a genuine fascination for all things Native American, the skills and all that. That's how I got into it. The fear was never in my mind. It was later on as I progressed and I got older. I mean, we've talked about this before. I was 12 years old when I bought my first survival book in Spain. The book is in Spanish and I still have it to this day. And it was just sheer fascination with, wow, you can get fire by rubbing two sticks together. Fear wasn't a motivating factor for me.
Well, because you were not widely educated about the world at large.
Well, that's true, because you were a kid.
No, I don't mean that in a criticism, but ignorance can be bliss.
That's a good point.
If you understand the world politics, that can be very troubling. If you understand how agriculture is done worldwide, that can be very disturbing.
Well,
if you understand economics, that can really you have money in the bank. You say, oh my God.
Well, you know what? You bring up some interesting points here, because if from an early age you're brought up with that training, if your parents were to teach you from an early age, to you it becomes a way of life. It's
like
not,
if you grew up on a farm.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not motivated by fear. So when you hear all these stories, the Great Famine and all that, you're going to look and, really? Well, I have plenty to eat here and I'm good to go there.
Yeah, so I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
An interesting, let's say take little politics into it. If you look at an aerial picture of Korea, the north is barren and the south is lit up and it's green in the fields. They're right next to each other.
That's why it's called North and South.
I understand, but why is that? It's because the leaders are bad. The leaders are bad, and they're not stimulating. We have free enterprise. You know that you
but
can.
that doesn't really affect us as survival that we're talking about. I don't think. What we're looking at really is the upswing and the interest in survival as we kind of know it. We've shown different books, we've shown different skills how to do things, but the word survivalist was coined in the late 70s by Kurt Saxon.
In this country, yeah.
In this country. Now, and you guys mentioned farms. People today, for the most part, most of the population is not brought up on a farm like they were in maybe our parents' time.
I think it's less than 1% of the population.
It's hardly anybody. So what you have are a lot of people who have no idea how to grow anything.
Urban people. We're all urban people, yeah.
They don't know. And but by the same token, I know so-called city guys who will make so-called country guys look like beginners.
Right.
When it comes to survival.
So the difference that you're talking about is as little as maybe 2 generations ago, most people were involved with raising and butchering animals, raising their own food. So the basics of survival were part of your daily life. We're so far from that today. Fear can creep in because somebody else is doing it. I don't know who those somebodies are.
Okay, in the city of Pasadena, overly populated city here, yet you have the Dervais family. You think they care or are worried about what's going on, whether the stores are going to be raided for food and all that? Probably not.
No, I'd be worried about me being raided for where they are.
Well, this is a good point, but they're not concerned about not having food.
I don't know what they think, but I would say that they have not let the larger situation bother them. They went ahead and in their own way became a part of the solution.
Okay, well, that's why people want to try to take care of themselves. I think it's something that's within us that says, okay, I want to take care of myself. I want to try to be as independent as possible. But that isn't always possible because we're still dependent on other products. So people start putting away food. They start putting away a few things. And when we talked earlier, one of the other things that happens, we get people that come to our forum, they don't know where to start. They're confused.
Yeah, how do I just begin? I want to do something that's practical, realistic, and not just a waste of my time.
But the point is, they took initiative in that self-preservation
to
get to that point. What about the people that don't? What drives them not to do it?
Marketing. They believe that market's always going to be there. They believe advertising. I can buy my clothes, I can buy my food, I can buy whatever it is I want because they have some money.
I've heard people many times say, why would I waste my time growing tomatoes or corn? Look how cheap it is in the store.
That's right.
Okay. So these families...
They have a point insofar as that goes, but what happens...
When it's not there.
Yeah, what happens if it's not there?
So we can't paint it with broad strokes because we have these individuals that were affected by, we'll use Hurricane Katrina because it's kind of localized to us, not here in California, but here in the United States.
We have earthquakes in California.
But what do you think the mindset of those survivors, those affected, is today? They're still...
I don't think it changed.
I don't think so either.
A few might have changed. A few might have said, wow, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That can happen. I don't care what kind of training you have. You can be in the wrong place at the wrong time if you fall in a hole.
Right. But the point is the mindset. Do you think they are now actively getting ready, preparing for worst case scenarios and all that?
I doubt it.
The city of New Orleans that got flooded, right? That should never be there. It's underwater.
Well, the city, the old part of New Orleans did not flood. Because it was built on higher ground. It was built up higher. It was the urban sprawl.
Right, it should never have been built there in the first place. So that did a disservice to the people who moved there.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
I would never move there,
right,
personally.
That's not the point. We're talking about what motivates and what does not motivate people.
Okay.
As Dude likes to say, you're as dumb as your parents, right, Dude?
That's right. You're only as stupid as your parents. We learn how to take care of ourselves up to a point because we're educated in this country. And so if you have a job, this is supposed to happen. Well, things don't always happen that way. If somebody losing a job can be a disaster to that family. And so people want to try to prevent that from happening. If you've put away a year's supply of food over the last 3 years and you lost your job, you go, wow, man, I got a year's supply. I don't have to worry about food. My family's at least going to eat.
That's your insurance, what you put away.
Right.
But so you were addressing the issue of laziness. That could be a part of the play, but I tend to agree that the marketing in our society pushes us towards letting somebody else do it for us.
That's right.
It's cheaper.
And they don't believe it's going to happen. They don't believe anything is going to happen to them.
It might happen in Sudan, but not to me.
Complete, total denial.
Denial. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Denial.
This country, for the most part, has been very, very lucky because we haven't had the kind of disasters. We haven't had the kind of bombings other than the one in New York.
The worst thing we had was Civil War, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you say?
Yeah. So we haven't had those kind of things. So you become very complacent. It's very easy to become complacent that this will never happen. We all have talked about this, where for us, learning these skills, owning these skills, teaching these skills, it's fun for us. We're having a great time.
But
we are prepared.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, being unprepared should be a crime. You should make sure that just for your own, even if you're by yourself, put away some food. Start with 1 can. Don't order pizza today. You know, take that money and buy yourself 10 cans of food. I was just at the market the other day, and sardines, which is a great source of protein, will fill you up, were 90 cents a can. Okay?
That's a good price, isn't it?
I bought 30 cans.
Yeah, that's a good price.
Yeah, it's a great price. It's normally $1.99, $2.99.
And it'll last how long? Many years?
Many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, all of the things that you've seen Alan do, that you've seen Dude do, you've seen myself do, and we write about it, we didn't learn these overnight. This is we maybe fear motivated us, maybe concern about political situation motivated us, but we little by little began to learn the skills, little by little by little.
What we see on the, like going off of what Christopher's saying, what we see on the forum, what you see in the news, is the disaster of the economy in this country. I believe that this country's in a way worse shape than we're being led to believe. I just did a cross-country trip from Los Angeles to Nashville, basically using Highway 40. There were 20 or 30 trucks to every 1 car because it's too expensive. Motel
Other
after
people have
motel.
told me that too.
Yeah, motel after motel had maybe 5 or 6 cars.
So
in
people
it.
don't have the money just to travel around
That's right.
now.
Places are shut down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
So that's a fear factor.
It's always in
a
the
wake-up call
Yeah.
to say to yourself, wait a minute, I should get ready for something here. Something's going on. My money is only going to buy so much. Look at the price of gas.
Yeah, keeps going up.
It should be a wake-up call.
It should
But
be.
unfortunately,
It's
to
not
most
for many.
people, you know, death could be knocking on their door, and they would still answer and accept death to come in. Anyway, we could talk about this a lot more, but we're running out of time.
Right.
I'm Alan Halcon, Doom McClain, Christopher Nurgish. We'll see you next time on Dirttime.com.
Check your 6 and your 9.